Good evening, YouTube. This is Man Always George Page. Sorry about the AKs. I hear him so much. But anyway, this is your Man Always George Page coming to you live on YouTube. I saw this about a couple hours ago. And I had to do a video on this. The shot, this is one of my favorite all-time actors. This man is just one of the baddest mofos in the game. I mean, he is a legend. And I don't have to say his name, but I might as well say it. This is one Samuel L. Jackson, or you might know him as Sam Jackson, or Samuel Jackson. It's just, he is just one of these most versatile actors in history. I mean, what he has done as his career is just amazing. I mean, he is just one of these guys that anytime you see him on the screen, you recognize him. And his list of characters he plays over the years are just so long and diverse. I mean, for movies like Jurassic Park, Deep Blue Sea, the 80s, Dave Chappelle, Snakes on the Plane. I mean, the Die Hard movie, Die Hard 2, is most notable, the one that really started his career playing Jules in Pulp Fiction, and also being one of the most prolific characters in comic book histories, Nick Fury. I mean, his list of career performances are just long. And the thing about Sam is, anything about him, Sam was born December 21st of 1948. So today, Sam is 73 years old. My God, I wouldn't think he was that old. It's unbelievable. But Sam was originally born. He was in D.C. to his mother, Harrietta, and his father Henry. And he later the family moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he grew up for a good while. And his father passed away when he was young. His mother had to work and take care of him and Sam, and she was the only child. But later on, Sam got older. He was intelligent, and talented. So he went to school to Morehouse University, where he studied. He had a interest in archaeology, architecture, and he had just a great mind. Also, later he switched his major to acting and performances, and he started doing plays at his college, and also he started working off Broadway. And even before then, good part of this, he was good working. His career started good part in the 70s, and then he started doing other stuff. He started getting his television. First television role was on the series Moving On, and then also he did some other TV shows and some movies here and there during his career. But his first movie role was a movie Ragtime. Remember, it was a movie back around the early '80s. It starred the late Harold Rollins. Also, I forget who else was in that movie. I remember the movie so long ago, but it was a great movie. And then he did a movie called Magic Stick. But his meeting with one notable man by the name of Eddie Murphy, where he had a role play. He played Eddie's uncle Ray in the sitcom in the stand up movie classic Raw, and that was so funny. I remember that he was like, if you ever saw Raw, it's one of Eddie's funniest stand up movies next to um, you know Delirious. I think you got Delirious, you got Raw, and Raw was just Raw. But later on, Eddie cast him as a robber in his movie Coming to America. And remember the scene where Eddie disarmed him and Arsenio had to put the gun on him. With the switchblade. And that's one of his prolific movies. But later on, he meets up with up and coming director Spike Lee. And Spike Lee had his first movie, School Days, and also he was in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, and several other movies after that, like Sea of Love, Death by Temptation, and also Mo Better Blues, which is another Spike classic. He also was in the movie Goodfellas, where he plays Stax. He was a guy who played guitar, hang around with the mobsters. Remember, he got killed in the movie. And you've studied Sam's filmology. He's been killed quite often in movies. I think he's number two behind. I think he's two or three. He's behind Sean Bean and John Hurt, I believe. I think there's a list of all this. And later on, he stars in another Spike Lee's movie, Jungle Fever, where he plays Wesley Snipes' brother's character, Gator, who's a crackhead. Remember, Halle Berry was also in that movie. I remember she was saying that, Spike couldn't think she could play a crackhead, but she came back, washed off her makeup, and boom. But, that was a great movie for both of them, starting their careers. And also, he played on the movie Juice, and with the Tom Clancy movie Patriot Games, and the long list of movies he did like Menace to Society, and the comedy Lethal Weapon One was the off take of a Lethal Weapon. And then the movie that really started his career, that really turned him around, was playing Jules in the Quentin Tarantino movie, Pulp Fiction. That is a great movie. Him and John Travolta were great. I mean, you remember the part when he starts saying the verse from the Bible, and and just start shooting. I mean, you remember the part he said like, "When I say that, that's your ass," and that's just classic. And he went on to do so many other movies. So some notables like Hail Caesar, Death Kiss of Death, which with it was a little small movie, not as popular as it was. And then he later on played in the Die Hard sequel, Die Hard with a Vengeance with Bruce Willis. That's another movie he got to work with Bruce because remember he was with Bruce in Pulp Fiction. And he reunited with Halle Berry in the movie Losing Isaiah. Which remember Halle Berry crackhead again. And one movie that really I think a lot of people remember him for is A Time to Kill. We played a father in the South whose daughter was attacked by racists. And one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when he's on the stand when he says, "Yes, I wish. Yes, I hope they. I hope. I want to say it right. Yes, I want to. I hope they burn in hell." I mean, that was just great. I mean, anytime you hear Sam raise his voice like that, it's just a classic. And then on, he just, movies like, Great White Hype, and also Long Kiss Goodnight, several other movies he did. And he reunited with Quentin to do Jackie Brown, which was the base of the movie, which started with, Robert De Niro, Pam Grier, a lot of actors, up and coming actors, legends. And he did some other movies like Out of Sight with uh, Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney. And one movie is a classic to me. He done it was Negotiator. Remember him and Kevin Spacey. There were two negotiators. He was framed for his part in the murder, and and he was trying to clear himself innocent. And then he got to play the first Black Jedi, Master Mace Windu, in the Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace, and that's a classic. I mean, he was just and he had a purple lightsaber. Most some Jedi's either have blue or green. He had a purple one, and that's what made him a standout Jedi. And then there was Deep Blue Sea. One of the other movies that he got killed in. I remember when I was watching it because there's two black actors in that movie. It was him and LL Cool J. And notice, hey, Sam's the more notable actor, so you think he's gonna live? No, Sam gets eaten by a shark. I mean, I remember we saw that shark come out. Boom! It was me, my brother, my sisters. We watched it. We like Sam Jackson. Just seeing, boom, he get checked out. And then there was a movie, Rule Engagers, where he plays a Marine colonel who, was on trial for murder, which was found out wasn't murder. Then in 2000, he applies a most popular role of all time is John Shaft. And Shaft was not as good as some people say, but it was still, it was a good choice. I mean, I couldn't think of any other actors at the time. Maybe, I don't know, Morris Chestnut or somebody would have been a good Shaft, but hey, they went with Sam, because Sam is a great actor. And, he did pretty good with the character. And then there was, that same year, he did Unbreakable, another movie done with Bruce Willis. And I think it's the third movie done with Bruce Willis. These two guys been acting quite a bit together. And he played, um, you know, Elijah, or they called him Mr. Glass. Remember at the end of the movie would say, "The kid, it was the children. They call me Mr. Glass. They call me Mr. Glass." He became the villain because remember in the end he said the villain and the hero often start off as good friends. And then he had some other movies here like Changing Lanes, and then he played his role as Mace Windu in 2002 in The Attack of the Clones, which was the second Star Wars prequel movie. And then he worked with you must also remember he was Frozo in the movie The Incredibles. Remember, "Where's my super suit?" I mean, that is just that's a classic. We hear that. And then he played with Vin Diesel in the movie Triple X. It's a pretty good movie. I think it was probably one of Vin's probably best movies out of his career, next to the Fast and Furious franchise. And then he also was in the movie SWAT with LL Cool J and who else was in that movie? Who's from a couple of actors, I forgot the others, but most of the LL Cool J, him again worked again. And then he was in the movie Snake Moan. And that was a great movie. I remember the part where the little boy goes to his house, and he had who was that, the actress? I forgot her name. She played Wednesday in the first two Addams Family movie, and she was chained up. She was like a sex addict. The boy come knocking the door. She snatched him in the house, and he had to talk to him about his first time losing his virginity. And it was a great movie because Sam is a talented actor too. He knows how to play guitar. He had a great. It was a great movie for him. To display his skills. Only there's been a couple movies where he had to play guitar and show his skills, but it's one of the few. And after that, he played Nick Fury in the Iron Man movie. He was in the credit movie. Remember when he said you tell him about the Avenger Initiative, and that's when Nick Fury was born because originally the character was created from uh, a Marvel comic. It was called Ultimates. It was back in the 2000s when it was the Onslaught storyline. If you find the comic books, remember the Onslaught storyline where all the heroes were missing. With most of the Avengers and Fantastic Four and a couple others. And it was an alternative universe created by Reed Richards' son. And Sam, the idea of Nick Fury was Sam. He was created by for the Marvel line was by for Sam. And then he played some more of the Nick Fury character, for the Thor, and also for the first Avenger movie, and also for Captain America, the first Avenger, and also his movies like Coach Carter, and then he also returned in the Triple X movie 3 with Ice Cube, which I didn't like. I just think it was I like Cube, but it just wasn't his movie. I mean, they could have found somebody. And Nick Fury, like I said, he was just a great character playing Nick Fury in the Avenger movies. And also he was in the movie Django, and where he played I think a kind of the equivalent of you would say Uncle Ruckus. He was the Uncle Tom character in that movie. And it was another movie he got to work with with Quentin Tarantino, and also with Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember, he was his master. And he was also played a villain in the movie The Kingsman. It was the first movie. The Kingsman is one of those lives. It was like a offshoot of the James Bond line. With a new set of heroes, new ideas. He was a villain in that movie. And then he reunite with Vin Diesel one more time in Triple X, the return of Xander Cage, which I think was pretty good. I mean, I think this was a great way to end the series with the return of their characters. We were supposed to be killing this movie, but they brought him back at the end of the movie. And he also got to star in the King Kong movie. We played the Colonel who was after Kong, and this is another movie he got killed. Last time he got killed by a dinosaur. Then he gets killed by a shark. Now he gets killed by a giant ape. That's just Sam. Just said, he's just getting killed all over the place. And then wasn't that long ago he did the Infinity Wars, where it was the remember at the end of the movie he gets killed, and he was able to send out a message to bring in Captain Marvel. And it was a pretty good movie. I got to see Infinity War. It was pretty good. It's sad at the end how the heroes all got killed. And then he reprised his role as Frozo in Incredibles 2. And then he reprised his role as Mr. Glass in the movie Glass, which was the spinoff from the movie Split. And Split was actually a spinoff from the movie Unbreakable. So he got to work again with Bruce Willis. Him and Bruce did a lot of movies together. And then he played Shaft. This was a reboot. And this time, in the original movie, the movie remake, Richard Roundtree played his uncle, and that time Richard Roundtree played his father. And you look at, and that, Sam and Richard not that far age, but how Sam is. He looks younger than you think he is. And also Jesse Usher plays his son, so it's Keith Richards Shaft. And then he voices for the he took part in the Spider-Man Far From Home movie, and also he was in the sequel to one movie he did early in his career. Earlier was the Hitman's Bodyguard, but the sequel, the Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife. I mean, the it's just a list. I mean, a list of his movies, and also see that movies coming out. And then Sam, he has done voice work, for video games, for animation. You more remember he was Jin Rami in the Boondocks series, and also he was also Afro Samurai. I remember watching that years ago. It was a mini series they had. It was on I think it was on Spike TV. It was pretty cool. And he counting his work in voiceovers and stuff like that. Has a list of things he has done. And also there was a story some years ago when Sam was coming up. Him and Lawrence Fishburne were going out for about the same roles. Originally was that Lawrence, you know, he went out. He read for the role of Jules in Pulp Fiction, but they went with Sam. But also there's a story I remember somebody telling me. I was watching another thing where that Sam went after the role of like Turner and What's Love Got to Do, because both Sam and Lawrence can play guitar and sing, and the role went to Lawrence Fishburne. So both of them played roles that really were synonymous in television and movie history. And Sam is just one of these actors. He's up there. He's inspired many actors. He's worked with some great actors. You have Anthony Mackie, him working the Marvel movies. Also the late Chadwick Boseman, John Cheadle. Him and Lawrence been known for other years working with Spike Lee and doing other movies and different. And he's just one of these great guys. And him and his relationship with Spike has been great. He has several nominations in his career, from Screen Actor Guild to Golden Globes to Academy nominations. Honored. He was honored in 2000. Gonna be honored. He's been honored 2022 for an Oscar, honorary Oscar. I mean, so he's gonna be a long list of black men in the history of acting who earn an honorary Oscar. Well, not earn an Oscar, but probably one of two, the honorary one next to Sidney Poitier. And he's just one of these guys. He's just the coolest brother on the face of this earth. I mean, just unbelievable. He's just, this guy. He just have a style to him. It's just, I just can't put it in words. And he does commercials. So like back in the day, they tell actors don't do commercials; they're bad for your career. But he's a spokesperson for Capital One. He's been doing it for almost a little over 10 years or more. I mean, he's just Capital One's commercials are fun to watch. And him and his wife, Latanya Richardson, have been married for pretty much 40 years, since 1980. And they have a lovely daughter named Zoe. And that's his only child or daughter. But she was there supporting him for many years. As I said, Sam had issues with drugs and alcoholism because his father passed away from alcoholism. And she supported him. He's been clean for almost 30 years. And Sam is just one of these classic guys, a great performer, a great artist. People respect him. His work is just, you know, extensive. I mean, like I said, all the movies that I talked about, the ones I missed, dealing stuff on television, stuff on from it's just, he just, that's what he's just one of these great guys. And he's the baddest mother. I remember when he was a host on the it was the MTV Movie Awards. It was like about a few years back. He was doing an award presentation, and I remember Jim Carrey was dressed up as some kind of hippie, and Jim comes on stage and he says, "I'm the baddest," and then Sam comes out when they go present the award and said, Jim Carrey, funny mother, I guess the word, and Sam, bad. I mean, that was just crazy. But like I said, he is one bad mother. I mean, truthfully, one of the baddest men in around Hollywood and in our community. And I wanted to recognize him for his talent, his greatness, he's just an amazing person, amazing man. I mean, I'm a fan of Sam Jackson, and I think I watched about every movie he's done that I can think of, and there's so many more he has done that some people don't even know about unless you follow him instinctively. As an actor and a performance and a person, he's a loving husband, a father, a good friend, and I think he's just one of these guys. I think he deserves that honorary Oscar that's coming up. So I'd like to say happy birthday to one of the baddest mother around, one Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. That's a lot, people. That's a lot. This is me on our Waitress page. Don't subscribe. Don't subscribe. I'm out.